Hi, I'm Kenny Anderson, Director of Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and welcome to Impact. Each week we bring you information about exciting things that are happening in our community, and today will be no different. Now, many of you may not know about the Huntsville Achievement School, and it's a school that's making an impact in the lives of people throughout our community. I wanted to spend some time on the show today helping you understand a little bit about what their mission is and the work that they're doing right here in the community. Dr. Richard Reynolds is the director of this center. We thank you so much for having the opportunity to come talk with us today, Dr. Reynolds. Thank you for being with us.
I appreciate the opportunity to share our message and share our vision of what's going on. And I thank you for the opportunity to be with you.
All right. Well, tell me a little bit about the Huntsville Achievement School. Of course, personally, I know a little bit about it, but for those that are listening this afternoon and perhaps even this evening, tell us a little something about what this school is.
Well, Huntsville Achievement School is what I call a hidden gem because most people have no idea that we even exist. Most people do not realize that right off Governor's Drive, 406 and a half Governor's Drive. I jokingly say that we're the only half in Huntsville as far as it hurts our self-esteem, but we still go on. But at 406 and a half, we've been there in that building roughly 20 years, but we've been in existence for 60 years. Wow. And what we're striving to do is be a private school that helps kids where the one-size-fits-all education paradigm is not working. Right. In other words, we work with Asperger's, autism, dyslexia, kids with anxiety. We even work with kids that are bipolar, but also we work with kids that just need a smaller learning environment. And then too, we work with a lot of kids that are with accountability scholarships that maybe they've been in a failing school or a school that is not as desirable, and they've had some bad situations. And research says that when you've had a bad teacher or a bad school experience for a year, that will put you back 3 years. So what we're getting is kids and helping them explore how they can become all that they can be, helping every child to reach their full potential instead of allowing them to fall through the cracks.
Yeah, so very important for young people today because unless you recognize the individuality of a child's education, you absolutely are going to miss the mark since everyone is different. You mentioned the whole notion about education not being a cookie cutter. You don't just take the same form or shape for every single person or take a template and lay it over every child that comes in. That children come into the learning environment with different needs, different skills, different abilities, and it's important for the educator to recognize those things. And it sounds like the Huntsville Achievement School specializes in just that. Tell us how.
Well, basically, a lot of kids ask when they come to my school, because we are in a building that First Baptist allows us to use. I tell people from the very beginning, when you come to my school, you're not going to see any granite, any Persian rugs, any chandeliers. All you're getting is education. And so therefore kids wonder, well, why am I here? And I tell them it's like, okay, if I went out and bought a cheap baseball hat, not one of these fancy ones like the teenagers are wearing right now, but a cheap one, it would say one size fits all. And I tell the kids that if I put that on my head and it didn't fit, would that mean that my fat head was weird, was ugly, or was bad? And then some of the kids will say, well, yeah, it's ugly, Mr. Reynolds. But other than that, what I'm trying to help them to understand is that every child is different. And just as that one-size-fits-all hat will not fit on my head, education's not one-size-fits-all. And so therefore, we have to realize that a child might need a little extra time. They might need a little extra attention. Also, they may need a quieter environment. They just may need something different. And we're not in competition with the public schools. It's just the fact that some kids just need something different, and in the typical public school, it can't be, because the fact is that every teacher has to do so much, and with the larger classroom sizes, you cannot provide that. It's just not possible. So what we're doing is just providing an option for middle-class families. We're not for, there are some private schools where people, when their child was in the womb, they were enrolling them in private schools. That's not it. None of our parents ever thought that they would have a child in private school. And so what we're striving to do is help meet the needs of those that really never thought that they would have a child in private school, but giving them the options to go ahead and to succeed and reach their full potential, whatever that is.
Right. So the other piece of that too is that when kids come into a academic environment, because they're not able to do a certain type of thing, understand a certain type of thing, it doesn't mean they're broken or deficient. It just simply means that there may be some other thing that we need to consider as far as their learning is concerned, which incorporates learning styles and other kinds of
right.
things.
And like what we like to call it is, instead of a learning disability, we call it a learning difference. We try to go by the Jeffrey Canada model. Jeffrey Canada has made it famous with him changing Harlem with the philosophy that every child can learn, should learn, and if they're not learning, it's our responsibility to find a way. And see, that's a unique thing for us, and some other teachers believe that also, but it's for our school a premise for everything we do that every child can learn, should learn. If they're not learning, it's our responsibility to try to find a way. And so that is kind of our laser focus. What's it going to take for that child to succeed?
Right. So talk about a typical day in the life of a child at the Huntsville Achievement School. And I'm kind of speaking against what we just talked about, because we talked about diversity and the fact that there's so many different ways that things are going on. But just kind of talk about a typical average type of experience that the child might have.
Well, we try to differentiate with every child, but still to keep our business model of working with middle class students, you have to couple that with, okay, we have certain number of teachers, and we have to create a way that we can continue to do what we do without breaking the bank. And so what we have is starting at 8 o'clock, just like a regular school, going through 3 o'clock, and we are going to help each child. We're going to follow the Alabama course of study, but we may not go as fast. And we're going to hit the main essential points when I say the reading, math, those kinds of things that's going to help every child, especially in the elementary classes, so that therefore we can help them be ready for high school and then ready for college. Because what we're finding out is the kids don't have a foundation, especially if they're having a learning issue. What happens is in the schools, many times they're covering material, but they're not learning material. So for example, long division, which really hits a lot of people with processing disorders, ADHD and things. It's hard for them to sequence through it. So we may spend longer on long division than others. But what we strive to do we're using old school and new school. In other words, you've got a computer right there. Well, our kids will have a computer, but also they'll have the thing that's called pencil and paper, because research has found that actually those with dyslexia and other processing disorders, the brain is activated more through the pressure of the pencil on the paper and them. So therefore, we're able to do some great things with technology, but also we're able to step back in time to a thing called a pencil and paper, and even an eraser if we have to, and we begin to help each child realize, and many times realize that they can do something, because the greatest disability that our kids come to us with is low self-esteem, where they've been told, you can't do something. Or possibly they've been made to feel like they're the bad person because they've been slower than somebody else. And so if we can do that, if we can help them get some momentum, if we can help them get some inspiration, then we can get them engaged because they believe, hey, I can do it. And so if we can get them to feel that, then we're on our way. And so that's really where it's at, is first of all, getting them in, feeling like I can do something, getting them engaged, and then pushing them beyond their comfort zone and helping them realize, I can do something.
Yeah, is there an emphasis on social engagement in any way? I know a lot of schools have physical activity and other kinds of things, interaction with others.
We're doing more collaborative exercises to do that. In other words, there's a lot of social skill work that's done in special education and other stuff. But what we're finding is, for example, in literature, if we have literature circles and we use that, the kids don't even realize they're being taught social skills, where they're being taught to work along with each other, and they're having to express their ideas, and a person can't say, I don't know. Well, that's not an option. Everybody's going to participate. And so what's happening is, see, if we can teach somebody to think, and I know that's hard to believe because everybody thinks, people say, but actually lots of times we're turning out test takers. And if you have a learning difference, what happens is most of them are not going to be good test takers. So if we can teach them to think critically and begin to come up with ideas for themselves, then guess what? The world is an open, just open to them, so that therefore they can arrive at so much. So if we could teach them to think, to read well, then basically, if they want to go to college, they can. If they want to go to Drake or Calhoun with a trade, they can. The world is open to them, but if we cannot teach them to think critically and to collaborate and have the people and soft skills, then what happens is we've done a disservice to them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I say that's fundamentally true as an educator myself, that when at the post-secondary level, but you know, when I have young people come into their freshman, sophomore years of college, and they have not learned how to critically think about life.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't just affect them as far as their academic journey, it affects them in life. I mean, they can't make basic fundamental decisions about money. They can't make basic fundamental decisions about relationships. They can't make, you know, basic fundamental decisions about day-to-day activities that, you know, in our generation, we're kind of, you know, common sense things. But a lot of young people today just don't think that way, and they aren't taught to think that way, and they are taught in a very linear way about how to live their lives.
And then if you add to the fact that if a child is on the spectrum, everything is very cut and dry. Mm-hmm. Everything's black and white. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, to think critically, it's hard for them also. So in other words, it's hard for any teenager or child to think critically, because the world does not teach them to do that.
Yeah.
And then if you're on the spectrum, which in Huntsville, I believe they're saying 1 in 48 is on the autism spectrum. And so if they're on that, then they even have a harder time expressing their ideas, the people skills, those kinds of things. So if we put them in these groups and we get them to work with one another, even if they say, well, I don't want to do that, that's not an option, because we're pushing them out of their comfort zone, so that therefore when they're in their 20s and 30s, they're not living in the basements of their parents. They're moved out and they've got options. Yeah, and that's what we want to do for them.
It's under some guidance and direction as well, which is a good thing. Do you need volunteers?
We have volunteers, and but we want people with our paradigm. Our paradigm is that we should push every child, and that every child that has a learning difference or possibly needs a little extra help doesn't need to be coddled. And so yes, if a parent wants to help us, or a volunteer wants to help us, come alongside of us to help push these children and help them reach their full potential, that is great. The helicopter mom has become a great thing within our society. It's good and it's bad. But sometimes with kids with disabilities or learning differences, what happens is that holds them back. We need people who will believe that every child can succeed and that they can become more than they ever dreamt possible. Those kind of volunteers we'd gladly have.
All right, so how can people get in touch with you to find out more information about Huntsville Achievement School and how they might be able to come alongside you to support your efforts?
Best thing to do is go along to our website, because this is a short time with you. But our website is www.huntsvilleachievement.com. or our phone number is 256-539-1772. But especially our website will share some of our paradigm of what we're striving to do and how we're trying to be a little bit different to make a difference within the lives of kids.
Yeah, and I know we got 30 seconds, but I know that you're being faced with some relocation demands, efforts, initiatives, whatever you want to call it, but you're going to be displaced at some point from where you are right now. And you're going to need to find a new location. And of course, if somebody's listening out there today, they would like to partner with you on that as well, I'm sure you'd be glad to hear from them as well.
Right. Our lease is up May the 31st of this school year. And so therefore we would love, after 20 years, to be able to not just move laterally, but to make a step up, because there are many children that still need our services and to be touched, but we're out of space.
Yeah, well, once again, how can people contact you?
Well, go to our website. That'll have everything on it, because I don't want you to forget, but our telephone number is 256-539-1772.
And the website is?
HuntsvilleAchievement.com.
All right, Dr. Richard Reynolds, thank you for being here with us today and giving us all this great information about the Huntsville Achievement School.
And I appreciate the time and all the work you do for our community.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
want to thank you for being a part of our conversation as well today, and we hope that you've learned a lot of information about a very important entity in the academic chain here in the Madison County community. We hope that you will take advantage of the information that was shared and reach out to Dr. Reynolds and find out more information, or perhaps if you'd like to volunteer, you can also do that as well by checking out the website that we have on the screen or the phone number to be able to reach out to him as well. We also hope that you will check out Impact with Kenny Anderson on Facebook, where you'll be able to see a video of the show that you just watched, as well as information from behind the scenes and images from behind the scenes once the camera stopped rolling. In the meantime, we hope that you have a great rest of the week, and as always, have a good day.